Here we have the inside of the Elddis Majestic 285. If we firstly come to the main control panel, you'll see that we have the master button just here to turn the 12 volt on and off. We then have water pump on and off, the main isolator for all of the lights on board. They can all then be individually turned on and off on their own switches. And then lastly, we have the awning light on and off. All other information is then given via scrolling on these arrows just here. I will explain what I'm seeing because unfortunately this screen does not show up particularly well on this particular device. So as we scroll, we have water level and then the wastewater level. We then have user settings. If I now press enter, I can go into the user settings and alter anything I require. So we can change the contrast of the screen. We can turn key beeps on and off. How quickly before this control panel goes back into standby when we're not using it. We can turn alarms on and off for when the water level is low and when the wastewater level is high. We can also have it so it lets us know if we lose mains electricity and when both the vehicle and the leisure batteries are low. And then the firmware. We then have condition of the leisure battery and then back to the beginning again. If we want to change the time, all we need to do is come back to where the time is displayed on the screen and then hold the enter button in and then it will begin to flash and then we can alter it. Above we then have the Aldi control panel for the heating and hot water on and off just here. If we now press the menu button, it will then pull up its controls. So we have the thermostat for the heating just here, literally just plus and minus, just pick whatever temperature you would like it to be inside the motorhome and it will go right the way up to 30 degrees. Next we have a shower head which is for hot water. So hot water on, hot water in boost mode. Boost mode is very handy if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other, or if you would just like a longer shower. If you do perform that boost and the heating's running, the heating will turn off. Even though we've now set the heating at 22 degrees and we've turned hot water on, nothing has actually come on yet because we now need to select a power source. So we have a lightning strike for mains electricity and we can run this on 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatts or 3 kilowatts, just dependent on the site that you're on. And if we do not have main supply, we can highlight the flame and run on gas. With this particular system we can also run in dual fuel if we have both power sources available. Dual fuel is very handy, especially in the winter months if you want to get up to temperature nice and quickly. It will only use the gas as it's required. If we now press the cog, we will go into the settings menu and we firstly have a night timer and a day timer. Turn the timer on and off in the corner here. Set the temperature. And then once you've done that, set the time period. So when you want night mode to start, whether it's for all days of the week or just individual. And then when you would like it to finish. You can invert the backlight by highlighting this one here. So throughout that time period, this screen would go to black and the writing would go to white. And we can also have it so no hot water is produced throughout that period as well, which is especially handy if you are only using gas. That way you're not wasting it heating hot water whilst you're asleep. Next we then have the day timer, and exactly the same again, but just for the daytime. Next we have prioritize, and this is what the system prioritizes in using when in that dual fuel mode. So at the moment it will favour main supply over gas. If you are on an extremely low amp site, you can flick it on its head so it consumes more gas, less electricity. We then have brightness of the screen. This one is not used on this particular model. We then have time set and day of the week set. So if you are going to be using timers, you just need to set this first. If we now arrow down, we have antimicrobial. This one is used in conjunction with the night mode, so you do have to have night mode set, and then this one highlighted in green. And then what will happen is at about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, the boiler will come on, rapidly heat up and kill any bacteria that may be in the system. We then have temperature offset for the onboard thermostat. If you don't think it's quite correct, you can just slightly adjust it. High altitude mode. So if you are using the motorhome 1,000 meters above sea level, you can activate this to help make the system run better at that different air pressure. Whether you would prefer button beeps on or off. One delayed start and stop to the system, so instead of having multiple timers, you can just have it so the system fires up at, say, Monday at 9 o'clock in the morning and continues to run until Saturday at midday. Pump settings, just leave it set to thermal. That way the heating system will only fire up as it's basically supposed to. Full factory reset, so if there's a problem with the boiler, you can reset it just here. External start, you can have additional SIM boxes added to this system and then control this via an app. Language, service, more for the workshop, but it will let you know what everything is up to. So you'll see at the moment the ethylene glycol for the heating system is at 61 degrees and the water temperature is at 55. We then have installed accessories. This one here, load monitor, can be extremely handy. If we now find it, which is now here, if you arrive on site and you know how many amps the site is, you can pick just here. And that way, even on a low amp site, you could leave it on 3 kilowatts, but it won't necessarily use that much power because it will stop you from tripping. Because it's now an activated function, it's appeared here, and we can then go back to it, turn it up, turn it down, or completely off again. If we now come to the boiler itself, which is situated underneath the single bed, you will find the boiler drain valve just here. So to drain all the water out of the boiler for winterization, make sure the water pump is turned off and then flap this yellow lever straight up. To refill it, flap it back down into the position it is at the moment, fill up the fresh water tank, turn the water pump on, and it will then begin to reprime itself. You will need to then open your taps up, turn them to the hot first, wait until they're running freely, then turn to the cold and do exactly the same again, and then close, and then the system will fully reprime. Also in here, tucked down the back, we have the water pump just here with the surge dampener sitting beside it. We then have the consumer unit just here. So we have the trip switches. So we have the 3 individual MCBs just here, and then the main RCD and test button just here. So if something's not working on mains, just check to see whether or not you've tripped here. Beneath it we then have the 12 volt fuses, and again they're all labelled up. So if something's not working on 12 volt, again just check to see whether or not you popped a fuse. The battery charger itself sits into the back of the unit just here, so make sure that you have nothing over this, or otherwise it will get extremely hot. If we then pop across to the other single bed, we have storage underneath here, but we also have the location of one of the leisure batteries. So this motorhome runs 2, so we have one here, and then the other leisure battery is located in the floor just here. Both leisure batteries are topped up either by the main supply, or by the alternator when the engine's running, or by the solar panel on the roof. The solar panel regulator just sits here. Whenever it's flashing, it's popping a charge into the leisure batteries. Whenever the leisure batteries are completely full, it will go to a solid green, and you will see the fuse for the solar panel just there. Also in here we have the television aerial. So we have the digital amplifier just there, on and off just here, and then control the boost on the dial just here. To raise the aerial, loosen the collar and then pop the mast up and then get it into the position that you require. This green window here represents the back of the aerial. You'll see it says H at the moment, so the aerial's sitting in the horizontal position. We can flip it to vertical just by turning the tail just here. Do make sure that the aerial is back down again for travel. If you're going to be using the digital TV aerial, just plug into this point here. This motorhome has also been fitted with a satellite dome, so if you're going to be using that, obviously plug into this one just here. You'll see the actual box for the satellite just here. So on and off just here. As you can see, it's now gone off and then back on again. We can select the satellite just here. At the moment, because we are in the UK, we want to be using Astra 2. As soon as you turn it on, and you can see it's already been set to Astra 2 just here, the dish will start to skew and will automatically find the satellite. Once it's locked in, you will get an amber light just appear here. Depending on what you're using, you will then be able to get satellite TV. If you are using a television with a built-in sat decoder, all you need to do is put your aerial lead into here and then into the back of the TV and then select satellite to decode it. Obviously, if you're going to be using digi boxes, you'll need to plug them into this point here and then obviously from there into the back of your television. Also in here we have the Huawei Wi-Fi sender. So again, this particular motorhome has been fitted with this on and off just underneath here, and then turn on just here. If I now flick it on, I'm going to put my thumb here because directly underneath it is the Wi-Fi code. This has already got a Huawei basically SIM card into it. It's a pay-as-you-go one. You can put a different one in if you wish. I have already connected up to this by putting in that code. So if I now go to my mobile phone and I go into my Wi-Fi, you'll see it's appeared here and it says tap into the network. If I now click on it, it will then come up, and as you can see, the SIM card requires a top up, and we can top up just here. You can also get into its menu by pressing up the top here, and then you can then go through and change bits and bobs just on here. To turn back off again, just hold back in and it will then turn off. We then have a fan located just down here behind the passenger seat. So if you have your heating on, you can blow warm air into the cab. That is controlled just here. Next we have the Dometic Fridge, on and off just here. We're currently running on main supply with a little picture of the 2-pin plug. If I want to run the fridge on gas, just press this one here. These fridges will automatically light themselves. If they fail to light, it will start to beep at you, and this warning triangle here will flash red. If you think it may just be down to a little bit of air in the system, you can press this button just here and then it will reset and try again. And then lastly, we have 12-volt maintain here for when we're driving. So if I press this at the moment, it will beep at us because the engine is not running. Temperature control just here. The freezer box is removable, and there are clips just here and here. The fridge can be put in a vent position for when you're not using it. Just push in and slide out like so, and then this will then hold the door on ajar. We then have the microwave just here. To turn on, just hold the eco button in. It is advisable to remove contents for travel. Then it behaves like just about any other microwave. Quick start just here, stop, timer set just here, auto cook and your defrost etc. just above. Next we have the hob, so we have the hot plate just here that will run on main supply like the microwave. This one here turns it on, red light comes on to let you know it's in operation. Everything else is then gas, and it's just push in, twist and push the igniter. Beneath it we then have the grill, and again that is just push in, twist and push the igniter. Oven beneath this. And we also have a light for the oven just here. Beneath the oven we have a plug plugged in just here, which is for the electric hot plate, and we also have some of the gas isolation taps. So we have the cooker and the fridge just there. Wherever there's a gas appliance, you will find a gas tap. They are all in the on position, and I do say they can stay like that. They are more for maintenance. If you smell gas in the van, I always say just go to the gas bottle and isolate from there. If we now move to the rear, we have the shower cubicle just here. Do make sure that the shower screen is clipped back for travel. Light cord just here. We then have the basin and the toilet. To open to the toilet, just slide just here, push to flush, level indicator just here to let you know when the cassette needs emptying, and then close back up again. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out, so do make sure it's closed. In the wardrobe, we have the header tank for the Aldi heating system. All we need to do is just make sure that the fluid is between the minimum and the maximum. Always take your reading once the heating is up to temperature, as it will expand in the tank. You can top this up yourself if required. Just remove this part here and then take the cap off and add the correct Aldi top up solution. Above my head just here we have the Omni Vent Fan. To use this, just wind middle button, turns the unit on, and then we have arrows out for extraction, arrows in for cooling, variable fan speed by pressing. Do make sure all roof vents are down for travel. Also in the roof we have the Pir sensor for the alarm. Just press the button every now and then and it will flash red just to let you know it's working. If it doesn't, it may need the batteries replacing. Also in the roof we have the smoke alarm and the carbon monoxide alarm, again just battery operated.